Welcome back to WD Magic Cast. This week we are discussing some of the goings on in the ESPN world. And because we're talking sports, because we're talking about one of these greatest sports networks in the entire world, we had to bring in one of the greatest sports superstars this side of the Passaic River, north of Cape May, south of New York, east of the Garden State Parkway, and west of the ocean. That would be Sir Isaac. Isaac, welcome back. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm everywhere depending on where the compass, I guess, points me. What's the magnetic north? Anyway, yeah.
Say his
Hey.
name and he appears. I believe in Isaac.
That's most people though. No, thank you for having me back on MG Podcast, man. Oh man, it's good
You're
to see you
welcome.
again,
Thank
man.
you, and thank you for coming back. It's great to have you here. It's been a
Hmm.
while, but
Yeah,
welcome back.
thank you. Thank you. I'm back.
So yeah, I was saying the ESPN will be launching its new direct-to-consumer product.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know why they couldn't come up with a better name, but that's the name they came up with.
Hmm.
And it's their new streaming service for ESPN, which covers everything. I
That's
guess
what I
that's the best way to put it.
heard. That's what I heard. Yeah, I think they're going to. I know they're basically. So, from what I heard, that everything from the NFL Network will finally be all going onto ESPN's
Well, I mean, there's
new
that deal too.
platform, which is because I knew that the NFL Network has been that they've been trying to find a buyer for the longest period of time. Well, and that buyer is with ESPN. I know, again, they've been talking about it for years. This has been a year talk, but now I think now that everything's that's happening, along with the fact that ESPN will be launching their new app, which has that gotten like an official name yet or anything? Like, I don't.
ESPN DTS.
That's a terrible name. Okay,
Yes,
so
it's ESPN Direct to Consumers
that's
with
a
DTS.
very terrible. That's a
That's
talk
what I
about.
said.
Yeah,
I'm
talk about
surprised they
lazy.
DTC. I apologize. Direct to consumer.
Directed.
Yes.
Yep,
DTC.
that is talk to. Yeah, that's very lazy. Yeah. So basically, what I'm hearing, it's ESPN will be acquiring a lot of the NFL like media assets, like the NFL Network, which is the one we talked about, NFL Fantasy, and the distribution rights of the brand of the NFL Red Zone, which I think
Yes.
was one of it. And then in exchange that the NFL will probably receive like 10% equity stake on ESPN.
Yeah,
Um,
which is actually quite sizable over some of the numbers I've heard floated.
yeah.
They're getting a nice chunk there.
Yep.
Um, it is because I've always wondered who would the NFL partner with to create their own network, and the answer was nobody. They kind of filtered it out.
Mhm.
A lot of the stuff was based, strange enough, in New Jersey or New York. Their prime location was actually Cherry Hill.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I think their base of operations is in New York
Yeah, the base
City.
of operations, the archives is
In
in
New
Cherry Hill, New
Jersey.
Jersey.
New Jersey,
They
yep.
just opened that center in California, which is where they moved Good Morning Football over to.
Yep.
Um,
Which is very interesting too now that they're buying back ESPN, because ESPN is a not New York,
Connecticut.
Connecticut, Connecticut. Yes, Connecticut. So what's going to happen now with that? Are they going to still stay in LA? Or are they going to try to bring that back to New York?
Well, you
That's
have this new
a
state of
weird
the
logistics
you
situation
have
now.
the and this is why NFL moved Good Morning Football over, I believe, is
Hmm.
because you have this state of the art facility that you only use every other Sunday
Hmm.
in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. Um, so they have that facility and gets to get more use out of it besides just for the Sunday night or Sunday broadcasts.
Yeah.
They are that's what they moved. Like I said, Good Morning Football over there. I guess they're getting tax cuts to make it
Yeah,
cheaper than
that
filming their studio that they've been in for decades in New Jersey. Um,
I don't know if the tax cuts are any much better in California, but okay, it's
but yeah,
that.
it's I go. I guess at any time, and granted, this acquisition isn't complete yet. It
No,
still
it's
needs to
not.
go through the courts and make sure that there's no like
Hmm.
backhanded deals going on, and there's not going to be a monopoly in stuff. I'm curious if it involves a lot of the NFL library. So, I'm trying to think of some of the shows that just show up on NFL Network.
Well, NFL films
NFL films,
would
right?
honestly
You
be one
have
of the bigger situations, and that's pretty much all I know about the NFL,
game of the year.
I guess.
Um, oh, what's the one about the that talks about the players? A Football Life.
Football life.
Yeah.
Listen, I will admit, other than watching The Block, like more Good Morning Football, I honestly don't know what's on the NFL Network. Probably one of the reasons why NFL is trying to get it's not selling it, but trying to get a digital rights stake hold of it because ESPN. I think we talked about that. ESPN wanted to try to sell instead of trying to sell ESPN, they wanted to give away a portion of the stake to somewhere. I think this is again along with this idea. But yeah, going back to like you said in terms of like the legal repercussions, it is a little concerning too if you think about it in a more morality statement because ESPN, which usually used to be about sports journalism and how
Mm.
do you want to report, is now going to be alongside one of the biggest sports entertainment industries of America right now being side to side. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you're concerned now that with ESPN being so close to the NFL. Um, you do worry about where journalism will go in terms of how if really good smart journalism will keep the NFL honest when news breaks. Not to say that NFL won't do anything shady because the NFL's been so clean that never happens, right? Um, Another situation that also that um, you also may have to consider is the gambling aspect of things because remember
And
ES
that's one of the big things about
yeah,
it.
hmm
Because you have the ESPN bet.
which nobody uses.
No. But you also have the all the NFL analysts who talk about
Fantasy football stuff, and which is
and
part
fantasy
of
football
gambling.
is part
Gambling,
of it, and it's
yeah.
getting pulled into ESPN fantasy,
Hmm.
um, which is interesting because the two fantasy apps I use is ESPN and NFL's.
Hmm.
So it, there's certain things I like about one, certain things I like about the other. So that's going to be an interesting marriage between the two of them. The betting aspect stuff that is,
It's a big concern too. You
yeah,
you
that's
would
getting
have to sit
tied
down that
into somehow.
you
Now,
would have to ask those questions about it too because about gambling and
but
it's
the NFL already has that
yes.
on the NFL network, and
Hmm.
ESPN has that too.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind it's the NFL network that's being um acquired, not anything else, not actually part of the NFL.
No, just the network.
Yeah.
Just the NFL network.
So, um,
But
I
with
don't
having
think.
those two together again, it does bring up those questions about how one could dangerously influence the other, in
Hmm.
terms of games and stuff like that. Like you said, because of the betting aspect of it. It's like
But
everybody now bets,
that's
stuff like that.
I don't see how it's going to be any different than NBA or any of the other
No,
NHL.
and you're right. It's true. The only difference is that like I don't think like the NFL has I think the 10% stake with it. I don't think the other leagues have that kind of stake with ESPN. That's kind
No,
of the biggest
but like I
issue.
said,
It's
was
of equity.
what's the difference whenever? NFL Network was running its own shows about money lines.
Well, because it's the NFL. It was
Right.
just simply the NFL. Again, I think why it's a hot rod subject because ESPN does tend to focus on news and journalism too. So I think that's one of the bigger reasons why people are concerned about if a company like that ends up being paired with a major sports network in terms of will there be moments where journalism may not be able to do his job and keep such a company, such a sports entity like the NFL accountable when big news erupts. Like, let's call
Right.
for example, there has been talked about colluding, about how players should not be getting guaranteed money. That's
Mm.
gone down the rail. And it wasn't until like a whistleblower who came out was Mike Florio a couple of days ago to talk about that situation. Only did people actually start to learn about that. So you are kind of concerned about real journalism. Will journalism actually do their job and trying to keep a company that honest, or will they just kind of fluff up things because they're in cahoot, they're so close together? That's the
Right.
concern that people are having with this.
Um, and that's a good question. From what I've watched, and this is one of an NFL Network was owned by the NFL, that you would have people like Ian Rappaport and some of the other ones that would dissect into stuff that is going on. And you have your insiders that was okay, this is what I'm hearing out of this camp, and this is what I'm hearing out of Cincinnati, and this is what I'm hearing out of Dallas and Kansas City. So I don't see how that will change.
That
I
won't
think it's going to be
change.
interesting having Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter working together again.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think that the actual coverage of the NFL won't change. If anything, it'll probably be more tighter. Plus, I think also I think they also announced that no more Monday doubleheaders, which thank God that was terrible.
Sometimes gets quite annoying.
Yeah, it really does. So that's also a nice thing, and I think they could maybe an extra game or two with now NFL being on ESPN, though. But I think in terms of other things, I don't think in a good way, it does make sense that everything is in one area in terms of sports and media, which I think it's good too. Again, but like you said, it does feel like it's almost like a monopoly in terms of like there's really nothing to kind of compete with that at the moment, you know. So,
Yeah,
uh,
but you still have, as far as the broadcasting rights, those aren't changing much. So you
I
still
don't think
have
so.
your
No,
game of the week on Fox. You still have your home games on CBS and Fox. Sunday
Amazon with their Amazon deal is a
on
Black
Thursday Night
Friday,
Football.
and yep,
Monday night will still be ESPN and ABC, and then you Sunday Night Football still NBC. So that
and
none of that
Peacock.
is changing contractually, and
No,
that has nothing to do with NFL
that's
Network.
separate.
That's all the NFL itself.
That's the NFL, not the network. So, but again, it does bring up those kind of talking points with
Yeah, you got some
fear
things to
about.
wonder about.
Mhm.
But they're going to be bundled in with what you'll be getting with their networks of ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SECN,
Mhm.
ACCN, ESPN News, ESPN Deportes, um, ABC, ESPN Plus, ESPN3, SECN Plus, ACCNX, and covering approximately 47,000 sporting events throughout the year, including our own Master Brooks's uh, board breakers that take place in Walt Disney World and around the world. There's just the past couple of weeks ago, um, which was on ESPN Plus, which I did not watch. Um, it is so you got a lot going on, and it is, of course, it's a new streaming service, so which means you have to pay for it.
Oh yes, yeah. Now here's the thing about that. So apparently with the new ESPN DTC, apparently it'll be 29.99 a month,
Yes.
which will be kicked off on August 21st.
And that is just for the ESPN DTC.
Correct. However, well, it's interesting because this is going to be for the next topic we're going to talk about, but maybe you can clarify that. With any NFL stuff that you get on, yeah, say you for cable, does that is that more of a reflection? Like you get whatever you get either on the app, you get that for free, or that's going to be for the next topic we're talking about. It
I
may be
think
for the
well,
next topic we might be talking about actually, in terms of products and stuff like that.
I from my understanding, uh the stuff that is on the regional TVs, um, however you watch
Mhm.
regular branded TV, for lack of a better term,
Yeah,
traditional.
cable. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that isn't going away as of this time. You will have access through the streaming to those channels. Like I said, ESPN, ESPN2, 3, etc., are all on there. Um, so you just have another access point.
Hmm.
The And then certain things are obviously viewable on there. If you're just flipping through the channels and you came across ESPN and you wanted to watch the Yankees baseball game, you can watch the Yankees baseball game on ESPN when it's on there.
Okay. Cool.
The They are just going to be covering a whole bunch of other things. Like you said, the red zone is going to be now through ESPN and somehow I believe actually part of
Hmm.
DTC. So with your subscription to DTC, you will get the red zone. Um, the other thing with it is, and you mentioned it's $29.99 a month. They are offering a bundle deal with Disney Plus and Hulu, which Hulu's going away. They've announced that Hulu's going away. They just haven't, I don't think, said when Hulu's going away. But to bundle Disney Plus, ESPN, the DTC, and Hulu is for the first year, first 12 months, Isaac, 29.99.
A month,
29.99 a month.
just because you need more services, streaming services.
Well,
Jeez.
but I have the other two.
Hmm.
So if I am paying the same amount for all three as I would for just the one,
Hmm.
because something else very
Oh
important,
yeah.
starting with their deal next year in my household, that's very important.
Hmm.
And if you
Does
follow
that
this
get
channel, you've seen a couple of things on that. Is the WWE, Mr. Hunter, Triple H, Paul
be-
Levesque.
before you jump on the WWE topic, going
I'll get
back
back on my
to
post. Thank you.
yeah. Going back to the red zone, that is a big deal to get the red zone
Yes.
name too, which is awesome. So think about that. At least with ESPN a part of it, the fact that you own the red zone name, you can now market that to other sports too. So you can
Mm,
make that for
that's a good point.
MLB, NHL, NBA. You can even do that for college now. Think of that about it. And depending on what like the SEC, ACE red zone. If again, I don't know what the contract for that though, but there is a lot of potential of having the red zone and to be able to switch to when your favorite team is at the goal line for big
Well,
moments or
not
when
just
to
that. I
score
mean,
and stuff
you
like
think
that. I
about
think that's
like,
pretty big.
Fox
If you're
has
not
the
hit with
rights
it.
to the World Cup right now.
Yes. For next year? Oh wait.
Yes,
Yes.
I believe
I
it's
believe
Fox.
I believe so. No,
Um,
no.
but
Oh, you sure about that? I thought it was always ESPN. Or that they're done with, or is Disney done with
ESPN
their?
has
They had the World Cup. What?
has
Or is that also in
UEFA.
or is that also in rotation? Because I feel like Qatar was Fox.
Let's see here. Uh,
I feel like that's in rotation. You sure it's not NBC? Do you think NBC gets that next?
NBC has the Olympics. United States English Language World Cup for 2026 is Fox Sports.
Fox has okay, so Fox still has it. Okay,
Yeah, which is
okay.
not something that they acquired during the Fox acquisition. We discussed about that in the past when that happened.
Okay,
Um, but
gotcha.
when those rights come up, ESPN now has this marketing power. Hey, we have this red zone technology. So when you have multiple games going on, people could go put on the red zone. And when there is goal contention,
Yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah, no, it's very big.
they're in every game.
Yeah, yeah. Or if they want to do a deal with like the Premier League or any big European leagues
Yeah,
too,
Premier League
La
is
Liga or
NBC right now.
yeah, I think you're right. I don't think they can't touch that. NBC holds that though. But
Yeah.
you really do have that red zone. I think that's a really cool tool. Although I don't think like anybody can develop that. I don't think it's a big thing, but I think the red zone
Well,
name is
something
really
else and something
neat.
else that ESPN has eyed up and tried to bid for. They've been outbidded the past couple times it's come to up. The contract has come up is the Olympics.
That's true. Yeah, NBC has because NBC clearly has the bigger stations that could be broadcast along with streaming
With
platforms and
now with the
services.
Peacock and
Pod
stuff. And I
and
think
USA and others. Yeah,
right, USA, Sci-Fi, um,
NBC originally to
CNN,
TB.
MSNBC, MSNBC,
Yes,
CNN,
CSN
NBC.
and CSNBC. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have the bigger network broad. But yeah, no, you're right. ESPN could slowly start to build that up with their online presence. Like again, everything is starting to head down the streaming path anyway. So,
yeah,
it's no, it could be an interesting acquisition that really could tip the scales to Disney's favor in terms of acquiring more live PLE live events.
yeah.
And speaking of
Speaking of
PLE
PLEs,
live events, they also acquired another big sporting entertainment event. Now we could
um,
synergy like that.
yeah, well, they um they didn't acquire, they acquired the rights
Yeah.
in the US.
Man, I set that up, man. I hate you. I was so smooth with it. I laid that up to you, man.
I'm going to blame it that you're out of practice on the show. And that's clearly my fault as being the host. Um, we will have to have you on more often so this way you get better at these things.
Yeah,
The Yeah, so they acquired the US market rights for the WWE's um premium live events. So
yeah.
this is your 2 nights of WrestleMania, your 2 nights of SummerSlam, your Money in the Bank, Clash at fill in the blank, um,
Your War
Royal
Games,
Rumble,
Royal Rumble,
Elimination Chamber,
and
uh,
Survivor Series.
Survivor Series. Name a month and they have an event.
Yeah.
Um, so you have that now going on.
Huh.
Um, And again, the language isn't fully clear on what all is coming along with that. And some of it is going to be on the ESPN networks, and most of it's going to be through the streaming DTC content.
Yeah.
And there's two levels of DTC, and they're not distinguishing which one carries what.
Hmm.
There's DTC, which covers everything.
Sure.
And then there is the light version, which used to be ESPN Plus, that carries some things. And that's only $12 a month, 11.99.
It's a mess right now with their ESPN apps at the
And
moment.
it starts the 21st.
Yeah.
Um,
I haven't figured that out.
well, and that's kind of what they're trying to do is with direct to consumer is they pull everything into one, which could
Yes.
still be messy. Um, as long as I can still get to my fantasy league. The so you have the Yeah, so they got the rights for that. They didn't give a timeline of it's a year contract, it's a 3-year contract, it's a 5-year contract, just starting in 2026. So
Correct.
January's event
That
being
would be Royal Rumble.
Royal
If
Rumble,
if
yes.
it's gonna kick that would be Royal Rumble. So yeah, to kind of kick off to clarify what you said. So in terms of the PLV events, the major ones, like you said, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, it's talks about that will probably end up being on the ESPN app.
Hmm.
However, from what I'm also hearing, if you have cable, you will also have access to those major PLE events. What I'm also hearing for also cable providers that they'll actually get the other PLE events, some more smaller events like Clash of the Castle,
Hmm.
Backlash, Money in
Well,
the
I could see
Bank,
those being on. You
are
could go
the
to ESPN and you could watch.
or you can also watch it on cable too. I think that is the deal. It hasn't been honestly said about that. So that was one of the major big talks about that. And it's funny too. I was reading a little bit about that because I think they made they basically made a deal about that. I think what was it, $1.6 billion agreement to acquire a 5-year deal, uh, which is basically 325 million per year to get this U.S. exclusive rights for the WWE for those moments. And I think it. And if people are wondering, well, when it came to Peacock, why didn't Peacock bid for it? Well, they just Disney outbidded them. That's
Yeah,
just
I
it
mean
came
that's
down
just kind
to
of how
it.
it
That's just how
happens.
business works. So, if Disney had offered a little more, then you would still be able to keep on Peacock, which you've been paying $8 to be able to watch all those premium events. Unfortunately, Peacock did not want to bid for that. So here we are for that. There's no real talks about how they're gonna now in terms of the other deals too. That again, like going back to how you're talking about how like the NFL has their contracts, WWE still has their contracts with Netflix, which is a 10-year deal,
Hmm.
which they paid for. They'll still have their contracts with NBC still separately with the USA Network when it comes to SmackDown. Again, not affected in the change of deal as well. So
Yeah.
um,
So you still have
mhm.
so the Raw and SmackDown weekly shows aren't affected.
No,
I know they're
they're all
bringing
separate
over
deals.
a bunch of the Raw library to Netflix. I believe that is correct. So I'm
That is
this
still tricky. They really haven't, they don't know what to do with the WWE archive yet.
no, and I'm wondering because most of that's on Peacock. But if now they've
Hmm.
terminated their agreement with Peacock, is that all going to be now transferred over to ESPN? And you have your back library of WrestleManias and all the everything else.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's one of the things my boys love is just going back in time and watching. Oh, this one
The
and Hell in the Cell and all this other stuff.
the library, along with
WrestleMania
ECW,
3 in the
WCW,
Silverdome with Andre the Giant.
hmm
Um it,
It's a
so
mess of which you
yeah,
would think to be able to acquire that library onto that app would be something that ESP would definitely love to have. ESP Disney really wants to
but
plant
in
their stake
here
in
is why I'm not
sports.
surprised it's coming to ESPN. Who owns the WWE?
TKO,
Mhm. What else does TKO own?
UFC. Oh
Who
no,
broadcasts UFC?
ESPN,
There you go.
which is terrible, by the way.
But
So
well, and here's what I worry about.
yeah,
Even with ESPN Plus, you have to pay to watch the UFC matches,
and that's what I was going to get to because in
and
terms
there's no
of
language to tell you otherwise.
like payment, because again, I don't know how this is all going to work out because I know that fans up there are very upset that, I'm gonna now have to pay $30 to be able to watch PLV events, and that's totally understandable, and that's still bad and it still stinks. However, you could also be how TKO established their deal with UFC, where like not only do you have to pay for the app, but then you also have to pay for the pay-per-view on top of it. No, you have to pay for the pay-per-view on top of that, and then you're kind of being thrown into like a lottery drawing, and hopefully you get a good match, good 7 hour match for what you pay for. So it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm not I it's it it could it's not good, but it could be worse.
At
So
least you
right
know.
now for WWE fans, you're kind of in the middle.
At least you know with the WWE, you're getting a solid product.
Yeah. You're going to get a match. You're not really hoping that, okay, UFC, where, you're going to dish out, what, 60, 40, $50 for maybe a good card,
Yeah,
maybe
well,
a good fight card. I
unless if
mean,
you get the Cody Rhodes John Cena match from the end of last WrestleMania, that was just
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, again, on on principle, I if you are a WWE fan, I can just like your hard blood working American who loves wrestling, you know, it stinks.
yeah.
It
But
always stinks on that.
it, it's it's going to be different. We'll have to see because, like I said, the language isn't fully there of what all we're getting. Um, so we will have to see. And on that bombshell, unfortunately, we'll have to cut this short. Let us know what you think. And are you going to be signing up for direct to consumer, DTC? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the little bell. And let us know. And Isaac, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.